Welcome to the first edition of The Answers. On this show, we profile efforts by government ministries, departments, agencies and local governments in delivering public services. Now, we wake up to very scary headlines every day on our TVs, radios and in newspapers. And we can't change that because we don't have power over that. But on this show, at Solutions Now Africa, we promise you that we shall show you the other side of the coin. This is The Answers, the Solutions Launchpad, and my name is Dan Ayevale. Come with me. We host Micheal Wanyama, the Executive Director of the Higher Education Students Financing Board, commonly known as the Students' Loan Scheme. Now, this was put in place in 2014 by the Parliament to help students in higher education institutions access loans and scholarships. Over the years, over 13,000 students have been supported, and we are here today to give you the ins and outs of how this works, how it has been able to support these students, and of course, improve the country's educational sector. You are welcome on the show, Micheal.
Oh, thank you so much, Dan. Yes.
Now, straight into the questions, and of course the answers.
Yes.
We want to know, why was this set up? And I mean, in the process of doing this, what was the problem at the back of the mind?
Thank you so much. Rightly, like you have said, this is the Higher Education Students Financing Board, which was set up by an Act of Parliament in 2014 with the sole mandate of giving out loans to students who are pursuing higher education. This emanated from the 1992 government white paper, which suggested that this country should have a student loan scheme to support learners who are unable to access higher education. So during the campaign of 2011, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, also suggested and promised Ugandans that he's going to put into place a system that will be supporting learners who are unable to finance their own higher education costs. So principles were put in place with the main objective of seeing how we can increase access to higher education, also support learners who are unable to pay their own fees at higher learning institutions. 3, to ensure that we support courses that are very critical to national development, those that can spur what we call economic development in this country, and then also to ensure that we create a revolving fund. But the genesis of this was the fact that this country had a number of interventions in the education sector that had increased access at the basic level. We had UPE in 1997, where we saw enrollments increasing in higher education, in lower basic education. We also had the USE in abbreviation, which started in 2007. So we saw also enrollment increasing in secondary education. We even had a program which is called UPLET. Now the question was, what then happens to these learners who had started from basic, they had completed their O-level, they had completed their A-level. So the government said, we then need to support these learners to complete the education cycle by getting a way to join tertiary institutions, either to pursue a diploma or to pursue a degree. So this scheme mainly supports learners who are finding financial burden to fund themselves to pursue higher education at either a degree level or a diploma level.
Okay. Before we go into the ins and outs of this,
Yes.
I would like to, you mentioned something about courses.
Yes.
The courses you support students to study or pursue.
That's right.
Are there specific courses that you are supporting, or you can support me if I wanted to study anything?
That's right. The law that establishes the scheme is very clear. It doesn't discriminate whether you're doing arts or sciences, because it says for you to be eligible, you must be a Ugandan doing an accredited course in a higher learning institution. And that higher learning institution must also be accredited. Now, what happens is that as a country, we have what we look at as the strategic plan of the country, which is called the National Development Plan. Right now, we have the National Development Plan 3. By the time we started, it was 2. And it had put emphasis of funding on areas where we had a human resource shortage. They had analyzed and they realized that this country, we are still facing shortage in largely what they call STEM, sciences. Sciences, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Therefore, at a cabinet level, they agreed that the little money that we have, we should start with those who are pursuing sciences, because that's where we had a very big shortage of human resource. So apparently what is happening is that we are funding students who are pursuing sciences. But we have also opened up the space, because we have been having this conversation even at the ministerial level. This year around 2023, 2024, actually 2022, 2023, we are now even sponsoring students who are doing tourism and hospitality programs. And these are done by learners who have done arts. 4 years back, we also opened up space for persons with disability, having realized that this was get a challenge in terms of doing sciences. Because if you're blind, you can't mix chemicals in the laboratory. Walking, assuming you're doing medicine and you've been admitted at Makerere, walking from Makerere to Mulago is also a hindrance. So we opened up space for them. So any person with disability is supported to do any program that he has been admitted. And as I talk now, we have 91 learners whom we have supported. So
with disabilities.
Yeah, and the majority of them are doing humanitarian programs. We also have programs that target persons with disability. That at the end of the day, you are going to work in a community, but with persons with disability. You have heard of Bachelor of Arts in Special Needs Education, Bachelors of Teacher Education in Special Needs, targeting training teachers who are going to be training this person with special needs. They qualify with what I could call with ability to manage persons with special needs. And these courses can be attained or taken on by a person who has done an arts course. So we're opening up space slowly, but largely we are putting a lot of support in the science areas. Okay.
For our viewer, you talk about accredited institutions.
Yes.
And my father deep in the village may not understand,
yes,
or might not get which institution is accredited or not.
And which ones are not.
So could you shed a light on which institutions? You may not mention all the names,
yes,
but you could tell us about those institutions.
Now what happens is that we are funding students in both private and public. Actually, I think this is the only government intervention that is even supporting private higher learning institutions, especially universities.
That's impressive.
Yes, because we are now supporting learners in all public universities. There are 10. Just a quick mention: Makerere, Kyambogo, Mbarara, University of Science and Technology, Gulu, Kabale, Musitema, Muni. Now, the recent university is Mountain of the Moon. Then we're also supporting students in private chartered universities. Now, chartered universities are over 30. But private universities are over 30, but the chartered ones are now 12. Now, a charter means when you want to start a university, National Council of Higher Education gives you a license. They come and inspect, find out whether you have the requirements and infrastructure necessary to make you offer learning and teaching. Now, the initial thing they give you is a license, pending to be given a charter. A charter means now they have inspected you, and you have a number of variables in place that are required to ensure you give quality education to the people you are teaching. So a charter comes in later. So while we have 32 private universities, we now have 12 that are chartered. And just a quick mention, we have Ondeje, we have Uganda Matters University, we have Uganda Christian University, Bugema, Nkumba, Bishop Stewart, IU, among others. So a learner who is admitted in those universities can access. Now, and the Victoria University of Recent and Isbat University of Recent. So we have even seen, because of this policy of government, we have seen a number of private universities working so hard to ensure that they put in place all the required infrastructure, hire enough professors, hire enough teaching personnel, so that they can get a charter and also be able to benefit from sponsorship from this scheme. So that's what we mean by accredited and a chartered institution. And then we also have, because we sponsor students who are doing diplomas, and these diplomas are attainable in a number of colleges. We have over 36 colleges. But just to summarize, if you have been admitted for any science program in a government diploma teaching institution, you do qualify to apply for a loan. Now, these are institutions that are examined by UBTEB, maybe just to, for the interest of the people listening to us. We can largely say if you are doing any course of STEM, but at a diploma level in a government institution. Now, we have these government institutions that are examined by Uganda Business Technical Examination Board.
UBTEB.
UBTEB. We also have Uganda Nurses and Midwifery Examination Board. You have heard about it?
Yes,
UNIMEB.
sure.
Then we also have Uganda Allied Health Examination Board. Any institution that is examined by those bodies, you are free to apply for loan. If say you are not going for a degree in civil engineering and you want to attain a diploma in civil engineering at say Kichwamba, Elgon Technical, Bushenyi Technical, you're eligible.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Wanyama, take me through the application process.
Yes.
Do I need to come to your head office to drop in my application? Is there an online link?
Yes.
If I wanted to be a beneficiary, or if my brother wanted to be part of this, what do I need to do?
We have made the application process very simple to the people interested in applying, because we know we are dealing with the learners who are poor, and the traveling to our head office, Kampala, is very difficult. So wherever you are able to apply. Now, initially what we had done, you would pick the application form from any branch of Centenary Bank. Initially, when we had just started. So when you are in Arua, you could just go to Centenary branch in Arua. If in your Kavale, similarly, you could go to Centenary Bank branch in the Kavale. And that worked so well. But over time, with the improvement in the digital space, especially after even COVID, and having also realized that most universities now, to admit a learner, you must apply online. We have also now gone digital. We are online. So a learner, wherever you are, you just go online.
Which portal?
A portal, yes. Our portal is easy, is of course www. Then the abbreviation of the Higher Education Students Financing Board, HESFB.go.ug. And then the moment you open, it's a step-by-step, very simple. It takes you only 30 minutes. You have filled the application form. But that application form requires more information for you to attach. And that information that we require from you, one, you must be admitted in a higher learning institution. We want to prove that you have been admitted. So you cannot apply before you are admitted. Two, you must give us your passport photo, you attach. You must also give us your transcript of A-level and O-level. If you did a diploma, remember we also support those who have diploma, they want to do a degree.
What about certificates?
No, because, you know, by the time you're applying, if you did, say for instance, now the current year, those that start senior 6, whose results are about to come out, they will not have certificate. So we can't ask for transcript. We ask for transcript. The most important also, because we are supporting the needed student, we require them to give us a sketch map of their home, because we verify this information. We want to ensure that this money we have afforded a learner who is disadvantaged, who is underprivileged. Now, we have done so to ensure that there's transparency, that you do not need to reach out to my staff.
How do you determine who is needy? What are the parameters?
Oh, yes.
Because I don't think you do any supervision or maybe any kind of background check?
Oh, yes. That's why, we do that. But I will explain that. That's why we are saying when we are applying, we require you to give us a sketch map of your home, where it's located.
What if I lie about it?
No, I will explain. You're telling us, I come from Kanungu. When you reach Kanungu, you go up to a certain trading center. Yeah, you know, we do that because, you know, in Uganda, it's very difficult to say, I stone plot number, this or this. The purpose is that we want to reach home, verify that information. Now, when you are filling the form, I want to answer, how do we determine the need? When you are filling that form, it's so detailed. We are looking for information that we are going to use as variables for us to score you. We are looking at schools that you attended. I just want you to look at this. A learner who went to UPE school, USE school, as opposed to someone who went to Voodoo from primary to secondary. We are looking at information regarding your parents. What do they do? What kind of qualification do they have? Who are your siblings? Which schools do they go to? Are you an orphan? Who is supporting you? Because you could have gone to Voodoo because you had someone sponsoring you. Now, when it comes to determining who is more poorer among those who have applied. Because I even want to tell the listeners that about 85% of those who apply are generally poor. But we look out for the poorest among the poor, simply because we don't have enough resources. Now, the parameters we look at, I don't want to steal exams for those who are applying, but the parameters we're looking at, what is so common with the people who are poor? Between you and me, what is so common to determine that you are more poorer than me? We shall look at which schools did you go to. There's a score out of 100. Are your parents still alive? If you are not funny, there's a score. I'll get less, you'll get more. What do they do? I and you who have good qualification and we have these jobs, as opposed to our brothers who don't have. The children of those brothers of ours will score less. Are your parents staying together? Children from single mothers score much. Are you a girl child? I'll tell you that a girl child scores 70% over the boys. How many siblings do you have? Which school do they go to? You'll find someone has 10 siblings, but they're all going to UPE, as opposed to one who has 10, and they're all going to first ward secondary school. So those are some of the parameters. Okay. Now we score them out of 100, and they give us the mark. And it's like you have done a test. The one who, like I will give you last year, the poorest girl came from Kisoro. And I was also chanced to visit her home because I really wanted to see whether our score card is accurate.
Okay.
Indeed, when I visited her home, really, you'd smell poverty.
Okay. In this country, you have a very big challenge of nepotism or corruption.
Yes.
And we've heard very many stories about such, interventions you are fronting, where, a minister's kid, for example, ends up on this scheme, for example. How do you manage to weed out that kind of corruption and nepotism?
We have, I can assure the listeners that we have weeded out completely corruption. One, through applying on online, you do not need to see us. You just apply online, give us that information, and that's the information we use in scoring. Now, two, after scoring, we publish the names of the loan beneficiaries. A list of all the loan beneficiaries comes out. We put it in the print media, largely most of these media houses, New Vision, and others. Then we also publish this list, even on our website, with the rider that in the event that there is any person you think is on this list of loan beneficiaries, but comes from a well-to-do family, inform us. But I also want to tell you, one thing I found throughout my 9 years existence here is that children of well-to-do people do not apply for loans. I personally have my daughter I'm sponsoring at MUST doing pharmacy. I don't think I could think of that, let her apply for a loan, because it's my obligation to pay fees for my children. And that's what we have explained to a few who would want to apply. We said, no, but you don't qualify and you are able. And why are you subjecting your child to a loan? Leave this chance to others. And then here, because we have this automated scorecard, which does not require any human interference, because I will tell you that after my staff have put in all the data, it's me to trigger the formula and run it. We stay here like with the 3 officers for about 4 hours when the system is running, scoring. It brings out those results, which results we take to the board. By the way, we have a board of eminent scholars and personalities tested.
If you found out that I was not really that needy, would you cancel?
Yes, we do.
It?
We do. On average,
you canceled some on the
scheme? Not quite many, but a few who. Because what we normally do is that we verify the information that has been submitted to us. And one problem we have encountered is people lie. Over time, I think people are beginning to know our formula. And they know if you say I'm an orphan, total orphan, you lost both parents, you have a score of about 15%, and that puts you at a high leverage over others. So we have seen a few cases of people who allege the orphans. When we verify this information and we discover, even on the application form, as you're applying online, on every page, there's that warning. Falsification of any information will automatically lead to cancellation.
Okay, let's go into the repayment plan.
Yes.
Let me give you an example of myself.
Yes.
From graduation, it took me 6 years to get employment.
Yes.
So does that mean that if I had applied for this scheme, I would be in jail?
No, no. Good enough you are saying it's not a permanent problem. 6 years, then you got a job. So it's a temporary challenge. Over time, you'll get a job. But how have we addressed that? One, by focusing on programs where we still have a human resource gap, meaning we have a shortfall in the people required in this country. We have been able to address that. We are seeing many of the learners we support getting employment. Many, I'm not saying all, others are a bit challenged. But when you look at the programs that we sponsor, human medicine, engineering, pharmacy, teaching,
but it's
education.
All into arts as well now, which may not be that
yes,
marketable.
but why did we even go into arts? Hotel industry. We realized that actually we don't have human resource in that industry. Actually, most of the good employees in the tourism come from across. You are aware about that. So even when you read the National Development Plan 3, I think they say we still have a shortage of about 70% of key personnel with the competences and skills in areas of hospitality. And that's why we had to choose it. Even right now, we're having a conversation at the board. Even in humanities, we need to identify a few of those humanities, which are very critical, but we have a human resource there. But I'm trying to address the issue of unemployment. Now, we have given loan beneficiaries enough time in which to pay. We did a calculation and said, yes, if you get a loan, say you are doing a Bachelor of Science education, and you get a job after 1 year, because we now give them a grace period of 1 year.
After
graduating, we give you a grace period of 1 year, but I'll also be talking about what we call early repayment, encouragement of those who can pay early when they get a job. Because we are saying, give us this money back so that we can create a revolving fund. Other learners in similar needs like what you were in can get this money and also be able to study. Now, I'm trying to explain that. So what happened is that because we are sponsoring those courses, we see many of them getting. Now, we give you double the period that you are at school at the university. If you did a 3 years course,
that's 6 years
plus a grace period of 1 year.
7 years.
7 years. And I'm telling you, if you do the calculation, you realize that the range of repayment is between 50 and 130 per month. Now, in the event...
50,000, 130,000. Uganda
50,000 to 130 if you have gotten a job. But in the event that you don't have a job, the law is very clear that you will keep on informing the board of your current status in terms of your address, in terms of what you are doing. So after every 3 months, you do inform us that you haven't gotten what to do. And what to do, we are not saying it must be a formal job like what me here. No. So long as you have some income streams, cash streams, because we are following up this. And how are we following up? We have now had a conversation with many of the MDAs that have a database. We're having a conversation with the NSSF. We're having a conversation with the Minister of Public Service. We're having a conversation with the Uganda Revenue Authority because we know at one time you'll be paying taxes. Now, when you tell us you don't have a job but you're paying taxes, where are you getting this income from? So we are following through. The law is also very clear. Like I've said, if really you don't have employment, keep on informing us. And we also are aware that this is a temporary problem. Over time, you told me 6 years, you got a job. But me, I'm talking of this loan repayment period stretches actually from 5 years to 11 years. Assuming you did medicine, 5 years. We give you a grace period of 1 year, then give you another 10 years. That period is good enough for you to have repaid. Okay. And I want to thank actually the loan beneficiary. I'll give you the statistics. We also have what we call early repayment, where we encourage learners that even encourage parents, as your child is still at the college, at the university, in case you get any income streams, you can kindly be depositing. We have had scenarios here where sponsors have come here and said, look here, I've been sponsoring this person at Vodo, I don't have the money to pay at once, but I'm willing every month to be depositing 100 as he studies. We have those cases. We have learners who have realized that if it wasn't this loan scheme, they would not be what they are now. Someone gets a job, within 1 year he has paid off the loan. We have quite a number of them. Right now, they were giving me statistics. We have about 75 of the learners who have paid under early repayment. Remember, we have just started recovering. So I know it's a challenge. Unemployment is a challenge. We can't bury our heads in the sand. But we're also saying we know this is temporary. And we're doing a lot of financial literacy to these people. We meet them, train them, that even if you haven't gotten a formal job, but look at the training you undertook. I can tell you most of the nurses are fixed. It may not be in the hospitals, it may not be in the known dispensaries, but you get them in clinics.
Pharmacies.
Success story in the pharmacies.
I want you to put this on record.
Yes.
The media reported a few weeks ago that you had cancelled loans, agreements with continuing students, second years, third years, and fourth years. Is that right? Would you want to shed a light on that?
No. I think the media didn't say we had cancelled agreements with the continuing student. But what they intended to say, what we said when we met members of parliament, when we were presenting what we call budget framework paper, we said this year round, the government did not give us money to support continuing students who are already at the higher learning institution funding themselves. For instance, someone joined the first year, he has studied up to the final year, third year, call it fourth year or fifth year, and is failing to raise his or her own fees. That's the category they referred to. Because in 2020, 2021, government gave us some money to fund those continuing students who along the way, they have been funding themselves but fail. And clearly, really, that's a group that's a group that the board in a way has said, if we got money, we would be funding such a group. Look at someone who is in the final year. The parents have struggled and what have you. Circumstances have changed. Maybe the parents who are paying his or her fees are no longer employed. Their income streams have dwindled. And for us at the board, we have said, one, this is a group that actually is even about to complete. They even want less amounts to be supported. For instance,
it could be easier to support.
Oh, yes. I mean, you're supporting them for only 1 year, assuming someone was doing 4 years course and he fails to get money in a fourth year. Now, this is the group we told the parliament that if funds allow, or that they should really look for funds to ensure that we support these learners to complete their education. Because it's so painful to drop out at the final year. But rather is the moment we sponsor you, the moment you are on our cohort of the loan beneficiaries, we sponsor you up to the end.
There should be no worry.
There should be no worry. Completely no worry. And we have clarified on that.
Okay. Lastly, at Solutions Now Africa, we believe not every solution is flawless. So we understand that there are limitations. And one of them, of course, could be a limited fund. But if you could point us to more of these limitations you are facing, troubles and maybe the challenges you're facing in trying to afford young people of this country loans, it would be helpful. What are these challenges and limitations?
True. You have said, I think the funding is an obvious one, and we don't want to dwell so much on that.
Because money will always be a problem.
Money will always be a problem. Remember, we are getting from one basket, and all the MDAs are looking at that basket. There are many competing priorities in the government. So that limitation is there. The other problem I want to look at the students themselves, falsification of information, which leads to cancellation of students' loans. And we have ended up actually cancelling loans of very unprivileged learners. And you keep on asking yourself, why did you falsify? Even if you had not falsified the information, we could have given you. But because that's a policy that's clear, we say the moment you falsify information, for instance, you claim your parents are dead when they are alive and that kind of, because we are saying, what character are we dealing with? Because remember, this is a loan. If you start falsifying from the initial stage, will you be able to pay us back the money? That's one hindrance. The other one is really the increased number of applicants. We find actually, I think, let's not shy away, there are increased levels of poverty among the population. And most of these people who are applying are learners that have been supported on UPE, USE. So we need to find money to ensure that we assist them to complete the cycle. Because now we are leaving them halfway. So they increase the number of applicants, which outpaces the income streams that we get from the government. Is a big problem. The other challenge that we have is lack of one central admission board. And how does it affect us? Now, results are about to come out. Most of the private universities, by March, they would have admitted. One, they're also competing to get these learners to join their institution. Most of the public universities have their traditional roadmap or calendar where they admit learners in August or September. And they're going to wait until August or September. You get the point? Now, these ones have been admitted in March, the other ones are being admitted in September. But for us, we have to wait and put all the applications in a single pool and verify them at a go. Because we don't have resources like a bank. If you want a loan in the bank, then you walk in, they assess you, I will walk in at any time, but for us, we must put them in a pool. So we have been having a conversation with the government saying, can we, like what is happening in other countries, have a central admission board that looks at all these learners and places them in a universe of their choice. It also helps on avoiding learners applying in as many universities as they can, just to spread their chances. Because we have seen even a learner applying 3 times, has been admitted, and DJ pushes in that application, Makerere pushes in that application. Now, when we have one central admission board, it will avoid that, because it places you where you have preferred it to go. Whether it's private, it has happened in other countries. It happens in Kenya, it happens in other countries. And for me, I'm looking at that as a very big problem. Yeah, so any challenges, I want to stop at that. If that can be handled, if they can increase resources, and of course the obvious challenge that we have been discussing is the challenge of funding continuing students who have been funding themselves. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much for giving us your time and giving us a chance to talk to you. But maybe before I let you go, we believe that solutions are there to be replicated. That's why we cover them, like we are here today. For anyone watching us from beyond Uganda, maybe a government official in an education ministry somewhere, what lessons can they learn from your model if they wanted to replicate it?
One is that with the governments in Africa, we must be ready to support learners to complete their cycle of education. And when you read the constitutions of most African countries, education is actually right. One is right. You get it? Now, we should be able to support any learner that's brilliant, because we are missing out on our future president, future engineers, future whatever. Now, in terms of the model we are using, maybe we did not talk about that. You know, there are many models that you can use in financing higher education, especially through student loans. Many countries that have adequate funds, they sponsor students with the entire costs, what we call direct and indirect. For us in Uganda, we are doing what we call a cost-sharing initiative. We fund students with the only amounts to enable them to be in class. We call that direct cost. In education language, they call it pedagogical cost. That we fund you with the tuition functional fees, and then we leave the other component, which is welfare accommodation. But we're also finding that some learners are finding a challenge in terms of finding money to fund themselves. Now, the last message I want to give out to especially the beneficiaries, that you see, they need to reflect on where they were before they were supported. Now, the government has supported them, given them money to complete the education cycle. And we are saying, this is a loan. It must be repaid. We want to create a revolving fund so that we are self-sustaining. I want to call upon them to pay back. Drop in any shilling that you can afford to land on, because we have given you a reasonable period of time in which to complete your loan. Initially, drop in an amount that you can afford so that we're also able to finance other learners. Because this challenge of money, we are talking about it because the repayments are not coming in as programmed. If they were fully coming in, we would not be crying of money. We would have even increased on the number. So this is the solution to most of the governments now. Governments cannot afford to give free education to their citizens. The only way forward now is to create student loan boards that operate on a revolving fund nature.
Thank you very much for agreeing to appear on The Answers, and we hope to talk to you later.
Thank you so much, Dan, and thank you the entire team of Solutions. Really I love what you're doing, and I want to promise that this is the best way to give information to our major stakeholders. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful.
The essence of this show is to shine a light on such interventions, and we hope that different governments and agencies across Africa can replicate. After all, that's the essence of solutions journalism. You've been a good viewer right from the beginning up to this time, and in Uganda we say, Onkoze bulungi nnyo, which means you've done well. This is The Answers, the Solutions Launchpad, and my name is Dan Ayevale. See you next time.